Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is at Doug Pless. And by the way, Bookmap Discord is free and available to everyone, whether you subscribe to Bookmap or not. There's a lot of great content there, great discussion. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. With options shares, for example, the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. And generally, the setups that I talk about are suitable for day trades, swing trades, or longer term trades, depending on your time frame. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. All right, here is my agenda for today. Friday, December 22nd. First of all, I want to go over news items for today, as well as the, actually today to wrap up the week. Then I'll briefly mention next week, and then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items, economic data, and events for the week. There were a couple of data releases this morning. So let's take a look at that. So first of all, durable goods orders and PCE data came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Durable goods was much greater than expected, and also much greater than the previous reading on durable goods. And then the PCE data came out also at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that was less than expected and also less than the previous reading. And both of those data releases were bullish. We'll take a look at the reaction in the S&P 500 in just a moment. Then 10 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment came out, and that was also greater than expected and greater than previous. So overall, very bullish, good news economic data today. All right, so this is the ES futures and Bookmap. And here's the reaction to the data releases. 10 a.m. Initially, of 8:30 a.m. I'm sorry. Initially, there was actually a drop lower, and that quickly reversed higher. Aggressive buyers coming in just around VWAP, that's shown by this line here, and then price consolidated and then continued higher after the cash open right here as more volume came in. All right, so good news economic data and bullish reaction on the market, at least for the morning. All right, next week, of course, Monday is Christmas. There will be no streams on Monday. I will not be streaming. There will be no Bookmap streams. The markets are closed. Everyone have a great Christmas. And I'll be back on Tuesday. So we'll wrap up the final week of the year starting next Tuesday. All right, let's get to positional analysis now. And this is again the S&P 500 futures and Bookmap. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to start with a larger time frame with the underlying index. That's SPX. I'm going to start with a one-day chart. And this is going to focus on the current rally that began October 30th. And the rally has continued higher for a variety of reasons. IV collapse, put Vanna rally, falling treasury yields, FOMC announcements, good economic data, CPI data, and then finally I guess really Wednesday, the most significant down day in the rally was again Wednesday. I talked about that yesterday. Now the SPX is, and that reversal was right around the upper weekly expected move. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. And now SPX is back up to that upper weekly expected move. So there's the rally so far. Just shy of just a little bit less than 700 points from the low to the current price. Note this rally that began in March and continued until July, shown by the dashed purple line there. That was 800 points, just for reference. All right, so that's a one-day chart. So far, the rally that began in October is still intact. All right, let's take a look at another chart now, another SPX chart. This is a 30-day, 1-hour chart. And I want to focus on some levels here on this chart. So I'm going to zoom in. Oops. So first of all, as I mentioned before, the upper weekly expected move, the lower weekly expected move, shown by the dashed purple lines. And note that SPX was trading slightly above that level on Wednesday before it dropped sharply. SPX was trading above that upper weekly expected move on Wednesday before it dropped sharply. Again, I provided some details about that yesterday. And now SPX up close to that level again, the upper weekly expected move, again shown by the dashed purple lines, lower and upper weekly expected move. I'm sorry, I accidentally muted my microphone. All right, so the dashed blue line showing the upper daily expected move and the lower daily expected move. Now the dark red lines are showing Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels provided to Spotgamma subscribers, shown on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. So these levels are based on gamma-weighted open interest. Spotgamma takes the open interest data that's provided once a day, sometime overnight, from the OCC, and applies their own algorithms to the data to come up with these levels. So I'm going to point out the key daily levels. So first of all, the put wall is at 47.20. That's right here. The label is obscured, but it is at 47.20. That's the strike with a large net negative gamma, and that can be expected to act as support. The next level up is the volatility trigger, and that is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And the next level up is the absolute gamma strike at 4,800. That's the strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma. That's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And then finally, the call wall way up here at 5,000. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma. That can be expected to act as resistance. And certainly that's not in play, most likely for the rest of the year. All right, so these levels all shifted higher from yesterday. That's very bullish. Volatility trigger, put wall, call wall, and absolute gamma strike all shifted higher. Again, very bullish sign. All right, let's just take a quick look at a 1 minute chart now to take a closer look at the levels in play for today, and then we'll get back to Bookmap. So here is SPX 1-day chart trading in a very narrow range today. Very quiet pre-holiday trade. And finding resistance right around the upper weekly expected move and this combo level, combo L1 level, combining SPX and SPY gamma weighted open interest into one level here shown in terms of SPX price. All right, let's get to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. There's that 47.70 level, combo 1 level. Just below that is the SPY 475 absolute gamma strike call wall. And that combination of levels, as well as the upper weekly expected move, acting as resistance earlier today. And to me, this is looking somewhat like Wednesday, with the S&P 500 stuck around the not able to proceed higher than the 475 call wall, and would so far the move lower yet to be seen, but this is the kind of the setup leading into that move lower on Wednesday. Also QQQ, we'll take a look at it in a minute. This morning was stuck below the 410 call wall. All right, so the upper weekly expected move, the 4770 combo level, and the 475 absolute gamma strike call wall acting as resistance. And here's the upper daily expected move, just above the upper weekly expected move. And those expected moves are for ES, not for SPX. Note there is a difference between difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it's right around 49 points. And let me get to questions. Floyd's Garage, welcome. Glad you're here. GH, welcome. Glad you're here. Look at stock CCCC. I'm not familiar with that. I certainly don't have that in Bookmap. I doubt it's in Hero. Well, I'll take a look. And Joel, Merry Christmas to you as well. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so that's the S&P 500 levels in play for today. Note this 47 SPY 474 level also in play. Acting as resistance before the cash open, and then price broke above that level at the cash open. All right, let's so I talked about shifts in levels for SPX. Volatility trigger, put wall, call wall, absolute gamma strike, all shifted higher, very bullish. And for SPY, the volatility trigger shifted higher and the absolute gamma strike shifted higher to 475. Call wall remains at 475. Again, that's this key level right here. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. This is the NQ futures in Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to focus first of all on QQQ levels. This is the QQQ chart for today, 1 minute chart. Here's the 410 call wall. Acting as resistance. Let's take a look at NDX now. In NDX, here's a combo L2 level. Whoops. And it looks like that's right next to the 410 call wall, acting as resistance earlier today. And the NASDAQ also trading in a very narrow range today. All right, so again, I have my own cloud notes. So I can show QQQ levels, NDX levels, and also the big round numbers in NQ. The 950, 17,000. So here's those two levels acting as resistance. Again, reminiscent of Wednesday, with the NASDAQ bumping up against that 410 level. And we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, let's take a look now at Gamma Notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. So again, this is Gamma Notional, market makers position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. Note all these numbers are positive. Note all these numbers are positive, and for the most part shifted higher from yesterday. So today the SPX and SPY Gamma notional shifted from negative yesterday to positive today. Also QQQ shifted from negative yesterday to positive today. And IWM also was positive yesterday and shifted higher, more positive today. So what this means, when gamma notional is positive, this is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. On this portion of the gamma curve, this indicates what Spotgamma assumes is that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. All right, so in a positive gamma environment, this is mildly positive gamma. I'm looking for more trading range, lower volatility, mean reverting price action rather than large moves and big trends. I'm going to skip over the Vanna model. There's nothing to see there in a positive gamma environment. There's really not much of a Vanna headwind or tailwind. Let's just take a look at the absolute gamma for SPX, since there were such large shifts today. I'm going to zoom in on a portion of this chart. So this is the absolute gamma chart for SPX, showing gamma on the vertical axis and the strike price on the horizontal axis. The orange bars are showing call gamma, that's positive gamma. Blue bars showing put gamma or negative gamma. And let's take a look at a couple of these strikes. All right, so there's 4,800. Let's see. All right, 4,800, and that is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma, so just add up the orange bar with the blue bar. That's the most absolute gamma, so that's 4,800. Here's the call wall at 5,000, and that is basically the orange bar minus the blue bar, so that's a strike with the largest net positive gamma. See if we, and there's the put wall. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma, so the blue bar minus the orange bar, and it certainly is not the strike with the largest put gamma, but it is the strike with the largest absolute negative gamma. And of course at 4,700 there's much more put gamma, 4,650, 4,600. And so far the 4,700 strike has been Spotgamma's kind of line in the sand for a risk on versus a risk off environment, risk off below. All right, so that's the absolute gamma landscape for SPX. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. I'm going to start with the S&P 500, and the first thing that I want to do is take a look at what options traders are doing today. Let me get back out. So what this chart is showing, this is the hero signal. This is from Spotgamma, available to Spotgamma subscribers. This chart is showing price for SPX with a white line and the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options, for a combined signal for the S&P 500. That's SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, combining options trades and market maker hedging activity all into one combined signal shown here on this hero signal. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, has been based on static data that's updated once a day. Again, Spotgamma takes the open interest data from OCC, applies their own algorithms to come up with the information that we've looked at so far that I use in my planning process. And now we're looking at real-time data. So this is the execution part of my process. And I like to look at what options traders are doing as well as order flow and Bookmap to make my trading decisions. So again, this is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. Let's zoom in on this chart now. So what I want to focus on, first of all, is this morning setup. It took a while to play out, but starting just before 10 a.m., traders started taking negative delta positions in the S&P 500. Note there were a couple of very timely flow alerts. These alerts indicate significant options activity, something to get your attention. Now let's separate out puts and calls. So what this is showing is the orange line is showing calls. When the orange line is rising, that indicates traders are buying calls, market makers are selling the calls, and they have to buy ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. And the blue line is showing puts. So when the blue line is falling, that indicates traders are buying puts. So initially, from the open, traders started buying calls, and just before 10 a.m. they took their foot off the gas, they stopped buying calls, and they continued buying puts, and price moved lower. So when we break out puts and calls, that provides much more clarity about exactly what traders were doing. Buying calls in the morning, price rises, they take their foot off the gas, they stop buying calls, they continue to buy puts, and price moves lower at those levels that I talked about before. So let's go back and take a look at Bookmap. Let's go back to ES. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So initially, traders started taking So we know from the open, traders were buying calls just before 10. They take their foot off the gas. They continued to buy puts. Price reversed lower, right below the upper weekly expected move, chopped around right around the 475 absolute gamma strike, did one more test, made one more test of the upper weekly expected move, and then moved lower. The volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. Green dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. And ES finally failed below that combo level, did a final test of the 475 call wall, just right around 1045. Aggressive buyers start to come in, and then price started to move pretty sharply lower. And notice the drop was fueled by sell stop orders. That's shown by the yellow line. Also shown by this on-chart indicator with the small red dot. So not a lot of movement in ES, but pretty clear read once you look at Hero and here in Bookmap. It took some patience to wait for it. and keeping in mind again the reversal at the 475 level on Wednesday. Definitely keeping that in mind while watching this. So a short setup here in ES this morning. Again, took some patience. And ES continues to chop around. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Oh, and GH asked, what do you think about dealing options around stock earnings time? There are many people that do trade earnings trades. Typically, they are selling premium in one form or another. Often you have no idea which way a stock is going to move. All you know is implied volatility increases up to earnings, and that implied volatility drops after earnings. So a lot of people do trade earnings trades. I typically do not. To me, it just seems like it's not as certain as I like. So no, I don't trade earnings trades, but a lot of people do. All right, so this is the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ now. NASDAQ, very similar setup. Zoom in on this just a little bit. All right, so move up after the data release, 8:30 a.m. consolidation. Then at the cash open, price jumps higher up to levels that you assume may act as resistance. The 410 did act as resistance earlier this week. All right, let's go see what options traders were doing. Let's go back to Hero. Go to NASDAQ. So this is a combined signal for NDX and then QQQ. Zoom out on this just a little bit. So here's the short setup in this morning. Initially, traders are taking positive delta positions right around 945. That reverses, and it took a while, but price finally moved lower. Let's see what traders are doing. So very similar to the S&P 500. Initially, they were buying calls shown by the rising orange line right around 950. Call buyers take the foot off the gas. They start selling calls. And right around 945, traders start buying puts. Note both the blue line and the orange line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. And here's the reversal just before 10 a.m. You can see the shift in order flow. Aggressive buyers on the way up, green volume dots. Then aggressive sellers start to come in. NASDAQ makes a lower high. Aggressive sellers start to come in. And setting up a short as traders are selling calls and buying puts. Both the blue line and orange line moving in the same direction. Very powerful directional indicator. Now NASDAQ, I don't know if there's something going on. This may be reminiscent of Wednesday. Let's check. Yep, there we go. Both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ moving lower. Let's go take a look at Hero. And here, note the Hero signal started moving lower right around 1250. Let's take a look at S&P 500. And Gray said, "You called it, Doug." Yeah, I did. At 1050 today. I posted in Discord the resistance at the 475 level and indicated it's starting to look like Wednesday. So let's take a look and see. Today, the zero DTE traders are not participating as much as they were on Wednesday. Let's zoom in on this. Yesterday, zero DTE traders were that's shown by this green line. That's trades that expire today, options that expire today, and this is all expirations, the purple line. So that is expirations today, next week, next month. So on Wednesday, the zero DTE traders were really driving a lot of that price action, and you could tell by the very close correspondence between the green line and the purple line, and also the notional values were very similar. And today it looks like this green line, the notional value is less than half of the notional value for the purple line, the all expirations. Let's go back to total. And this, the Hero line here, about 115 started to make lower highs, and price followed pretty closely. And the total signal here definitely provides more clarity. Let's go back NASDAQ to NASDAQ. All right, one other signal I want to take a look at is this MAG 7. What this Hero signal is showing is a combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. Traders net for the day taking negative delta positions. We'll zoom in on this chart. Note the very strong correlation between options trades, hedging activity, hedging flow, and price action. Hero starts to make lower highs starting around 115 high, the high point for the afternoon. This is an important signal to look at because these 7 stocks make up such a large portion of the NASDAQ especially, and also the S&P 500. It looks like I need to refresh this chart. Alright, here we go. We're back. Alright, let's go back to Bookmap. Alright, so ES below the opening price, maybe finding support at this 47.50 level, and also ES 4800. Let's check NASDAQ. Still looking pretty bearish to me. A lot of aggressive sellers, magenta volume dots on the way down. Note these falling stop line, sell stop orders, helping to fuel the move lower. That's usually a pretty good directional indicator, the stop orders. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. Whoops. Apple, not a lot of movement today, but 195 is the key gamma strike, acting as resistance. Let's go take a look at Hero. Go to Apple. And bearish day here in Apple. Traders taking negative delta positions from the open, levels off, then moves sharply lower. Note the vertical line there, that's a large order, large institutional order. Note also the timely flow alert just a couple of minutes after the cash open. So typical Apple, not a lot of range, but pretty clear bearish setup. And a reversal at, again, the 195 key gamma strike. Price breaks lower, does a retest. All right, the next is Meta. So bearish day here in Meta. Let's take a look at Hero. And note for Meta, 355 is the call wall. Let's take a look at Hero. Go to Meta. Note the multiple flow alerts as Meta was trading above the call wall, and these flow alerts Spotgamma has found often act as very good mean reversal indicators. Multiple flow alerts, and here's the one that kind of the final straw there, as Meta broke below the call wall, the 355 call wall. Let's see what traders are doing. And the rising blue line indicates traders have been selling puts today, but the call buyers definitely in control. The call sellers are definitely in control today. That's shown by the falling orange line. Traders have been selling calls pretty consistently since about 9:50, 9:45, 9:50. Let's go back to Bookmap. So multiple entry points. I'd say multiple aggressive entry points before 11. And then finally the one that was pretty clear with that last flow alert just around 10:56 was this break of this trend line here, and also then I guess this wedge pattern and the break at 350. Note the magenta volume dots here, a lot of aggressive sellers. And that's good for about a 3-point drop in Meta. And GH says, Doug, was it you that said May short ticker POL days ago? No, it's not me. I'm not familiar with that stock. And also GH ask, when traders sell calls, that's a bearish sign. Correct, yes. When traders sell calls, market makers buy the calls. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure in the case of a stock. Yeah, we'll take a look at Tesla in just a moment. All right, so there's Meta, multiple entries, lower high, just above VWAP, and then this trend break here with the last flow alert as traders are taking negative delta positions. Microsoft earlier today was having somewhat of a bullish day. Now seems to be dropping pretty sharply. Let's just go back and check ES again, see what it's doing. So ES continues to fall now down below the 473 volatility trigger. Let's go back to Microsoft. And this is pretty fast movement for Microsoft. All right, let's take a look at Hero again and see what options traders are doing. Go to Microsoft. Note a lot of red here. Microsoft, one of the these thumbnails I believe are showing the last 15 minutes of Hero data. So Microsoft, note 375 is the call wall, key gamma strike, acting as resistance. Call the theme of the day, call walls, QQQ, SPY, Microsoft acting as resistance. And note Microsoft was bullish in the morning with these alerts getting your attention, indicating significant options activity as traders were taking positive delta positions. All right, so there's Microsoft and then Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. And Tesla has been bearish all day. Note again the timely flow alerts indicating significant options activity as traders continue to take negative delta positions. All right, CWR Group, yeah, there's Tesla. CWR Group says key gamma strike was 250. Yes, it's still at 250. There it is right here, just at the bottom of the chart. Key gamma strike. 260 is the call wall. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Tesla. So bearish day here in Tesla. Note around 12:30, all the aggressive sellers that start to come in, shown by the magenta volume dots. Couple of tests of VWAP here. Trend break. Pretty easy read here in Bookmap. Trend break. Retest of 256. Aggressive sellers, traders taking negative delta positions, and that's good for a quick 3-point move, and still holding if you got in there. As aggressive sellers sell Tesla, and options traders take negative delta positions. All right, GH asked about CCCC. Never heard of that. We'll see if I seriously doubt that is. I've never heard of that. All right, sorry, that's not in Hero here. Let's go back to the S&P 500. Traders continue to take negative delta positions. Check on NASDAQ. So it looks like now Hero is leveling off. Traders are starting to buy the dip in NASDAQ. As shown by the rising purple line, making higher highs now, higher lows. Let's check Mag 7. That signal continues to move lower. All right, I've got a few minutes left. Does anyone have any other stocks they want me to take a look at? I'll be glad to do that. Let's go back to Bookmap. Tesla continues to drop. It looks like 250 may be that next target in sight. CWR. NVIDIA, okay. Most likely bearish as well. NVIDIA definitely trending lower. Tone down these volume dots just a little bit. Trend break, retest of 490. And a short good for a good 5 points in NVIDIA. Let's go take a look at Hero and see what options traders are doing. Uh, 490 is the key gamma strike, 487.50 is the hedge wall, and 480 is the put wall. Zoom in on this. More flow alerts. Right around 10:45. Just before 11:15. But NVIDIA really doesn't do much until that setup that began just after 1:30. That trend break, retest of 490 key gamma strike, and then price continues to move lower. Let's go back to Bookmap. And note all of the magenta volume dots. And again, there's the setup, trend break, retest to 490 key gamma strike. Again, good for a quick 5-point move lower in NVIDIA. Let's go back and check S&P 500. All right, GA asks, is it true when large orders to buy are in order book and filled, the stock goes up indeed? It may sound strange, but I've heard some say it's opposite to buy makers must sell, so goes opposite. I'm not sure I understand your question. Let's just focus on options. So when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. They always want to remain delta neutral. On the other hand, just looking at the order book, when there are more buyers than sellers, more aggressive buyers than sellers, price will go up typically. And when there are more sellers than buyers, more aggressive sellers, price will move lower. So options are a little bit different way of thinking about things. Paul wants to look at Marathon Digital. Let's take a look at that. Kind of a Bitcoin proxy. Try that again. And earlier today, a pretty bullish day in Mara. Traders were buying calls. And note here's a perfect example of that, GH. When traders buy calls, shown by the rising orange line, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And notice, as soon as they stop buying calls, price moves lower. And really starting about 12:15, they started buying puts, that's shown by the falling blue line, and then that accelerated around 2. So right around 2, they really started, 145.2, they really started selling calls, buying puts, and price dropped. And S&P 500 hedging flow hero signal continues to move lower. Now it looks like, let's go to the Bookmap. Now the S&P 500 is breaking below has already broken below the SPY 473 volatility trigger, and now is breaking below the SPX 4740 volatility trigger. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. So that's definitely bearish with the S&P 500 breaking below these levels. Let's do one last check of NASDAQ. And for NASDAQ, 407, QQQ 407 is the volatility trigger. And call walls acting as resistance today, and now price for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ is breaking below the volatility triggers for QQQ, SPY, and SPX. Alright, so there you go. Looks like a repeat of Wednesday. Resistance at the call walls and options traders in the afternoon driving price lower. Alright, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for hanging with me on this Friday afternoon before a long Christmas holiday weekend. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. If you're traveling, stay safe. Have a great, wonderful Christmas holiday, and I will see you on Tuesday. All right, thanks again, everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I will see you on Tuesday. Thanks, bye.